Here are our needle felted owls. Our class didn't end up getting recorded, so here is our recap video. We'll make another owl. And what you have in your kits, if you got one of the kits that we registered for, you've got a needle for needle felting. You can kind of see on here on the camera, there's the little barbs here on the end, and that catches the fibers of the wool and tangles it together. You've got some like styrofoam foam padding, and that'll protect your table from the needle and protect your needle from breaking. You also have your roving. You'll have like a base color in like an off-white kind of color for your main part of the owl. And then there's a variety of colors that I've included in the kits too. Now they do sell some tools that you can use with your needles to help you hold it. They also have ones that will hold multiple ones. And you might notice that your needles, there's 3 different sizes. The big one's pretty good for doing your base stuff, and then the little one's good for the fine details, while the other one's for the just everything in between. I'm only going to use one needle the whole time, so it doesn't really matter what size needle you have, but I've included all 3. When I buy in bulk, that's the kind that you get. So yeah, let's get started. So I'm going to put these guys off to the side for now and get that base color that I have here. Now you'll see, if you like try to pull it at this point, it's really tough, but if you stretch it out, you can just kind of pull off parts of it. This has been felted a little before, it seems. So what you'll do is just kind of roll it up into your base shape you kind of want it to be. So if you want it like a little bulkier on the bottom, you might wrap it that way, or if you want it bulky on top. And then where you've ended here, you're just going to take your needle and start stabbing in. Now a note on the stabbing, you'll always want to have it down on your pad. You don't want to pick it up and do this because you might get yourself. You might even want to go get a couple bandages just in case, because this is really sharp and more than likely you will get yourself. And then so you can just really push down into it, and that'll start getting your shape. So now that I've done that little flap area, it's holding in place, I can start working around this whole piece to shape it the way I want. You can also use your fingernails to help protect your fingers, so that like if you're going like this and you hit your finger, you're going to hit your nail and it'll just go down. So let's just keep stabbing into this to make our owl. And wherever you stab in more, it's going to get tighter and firmer. You can kind of see with this one, he kind of gives a little bit of a squish. And wherever you do less, it'll be softer and less deformed. So there's like a color that got stuck in there, I can just pull that out. You might also find there might be a little bit of just some kind of material in there, probably from the farm. And this is because it is sheep's wool and it has been cleaned, but sometimes straw just gets in there. And this is going to be a tall owl that we're making here. And as you're working, sometimes the wool will kind of give you more of the suggestion of what it wants to become. So like this one's kind of forming like this will be the head and this will be the base. And just kind of like how in sculpture the stone can decide what it wants based on the way it was formed. And the base of it you'll want to make pretty firm so that it has a good bottom to sit on. And you can always come back to that as your shape forms. Now over time, your needle will dull, so you do need to replace your needles every so often. And sometimes they can break, so that's why I did include multiple needles. And they shouldn't dull for the one project. It would be like if you've done a couple projects over time. But keep moving your roving around so you can look at it from all angles and remember to keep shaping all of it. And if you poke it a lot in one area, it'll start kind of defining shapes. So you can kind of start defining the neck and head area. So you see here I have this pretty well defined neck. And I kind of have these lines here, so I'm going to make sure to felt the stuff around them. And then if I want to fluff it out, I can kind of do this horizontal motion here. You want to be careful with that to not break your needle. And you actually don't have to worry about too much because we'll be putting the other color on top of this for the head, like that. And even after we add any of the color, we can continue to shape it and move things around. I'll also want to make sure to felt where the face is pretty well, because putting on your details, you need something to be able to put it into. So this is probably where I'm going to have a face. So I'm going to start adding some of the colors in. I'm going to use this brown. And I'm going to start with the top and the head part. And I just kind of layered it on. I'm skinning the project. And I'm just going to go around this edge here and put it on. And I'll go over the whole thing and just kind of attach it. You could take some of your colors and blend them together by just kind of taking, let's see, what have I got here? Yeah, you can blend some colors together kind of like this, or just layer them in, so then you've got stripes, kind of like different feather colorings, and then you could lay them in. I did that with this one, so I got that nice like marbling in it. And if you have any questions on this, my contact information will be in the description of the video. So feel free to contact me. You can also contact about using the makerspace or just any other questions in general about making. So here I'm going to have a wing. There's two ways of doing it, and because this one's kind of already formed, I'm just going to skin this one. But I will show on the back wing, forming it and then adding it to it later. So I'm really going to shape around here to form that wing. I actually need to add a little more right there on that bottom. And it might help to look at some inspiration of different owl pictures and other people's felted owls to kind of give you an idea of how to shape things. But I highly recommend looking at some owl photos to give you ideas. I looked at one for this one, and I looked at like a baby owl for this one. This one was more of a barn owl. I'm just going to shift some of this color over that spot that was kind of patchy, kind of a bald spot in a way. And I don't have very clear shape here, so I'm going to fix this up a bit. Okay, so now I'm going to make my second wing. Take a little more of my roving. I'm just going to, this one I'm going to attach, so I'm going to roll up some here and start stabbing that and start kind of shaping it to what I want it to look. And flip it over, get both sides of it. Try to get the edges. I do that pretty carefully. And it doesn't need to be fully shaped because you will kind of do some more shaping once it gets on there. So that's a pretty good start. And I'm just going to attach that wing to where I want it to go. Now you can start attaching it up here at the top, and you could just let it kind of flap like that, but I'm actually going to attach mine all the way around and down so I can get the most control out of my shape. And finish shaping it on here. And that's just going to tangle everything together and attach it. And I'm going to fill in a little area up here, just to add a little more color. Now if you've got some edges that, like, some of the colors hanging off the edge, you can just take the strands of it and just kind of pick it up and push it in to clean up that edge. And be careful doing that. You can break a needle, so you just have to do it gently. So my owl has got its head turned like that. Got a wing over here and a wing over here. I should be ready to do a face. And much like the wing that we put over here, we can do the same thing. Now for eyes, you'll want to take two pieces about the same size, and you'll probably get bigger than you want, and just kind of roll it in your fingers, check it. Yeah, that's going to be way big, but maybe I need something about that big, because owls do have pretty big eyes. Oh, I think that's going to be better. And then just kind of felt it over here. Be careful not to push it down too far into your foam here. Yeah. This will go down into it a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to try attaching it here, and just push it in, and work around the whole thing. And there we go. And if it gets too sunken down, oh, there's some of that plant matter. I'll take that out of there. You can do that horizontal kind of lift. And I kind of need to reshape this to be a little more circular. And there we go. There's our first eye. Do our second one. So say I put this on here and I don't like how the eyes look, like they're a little off. I can actually pull this off, or I could even go to one that I've already done and pull something off and refelt things. So you can redo these projects. They're not forever stuck this way if you decide you don't like how something looks when you come back to the project. So it might be good to put down your project for a little bit and just come back to it with fresh eyes. I think that eye needed just a little bit more to match up. Or say like you have a pet that gets a hold of one of these. You can put it back together. No problem, as long as you still have your needle. Now if you felted it really hard, it might be a little difficult. And if you felt it really hard, you can also break a needle into it too. So you gotta be careful of that. instead of this foam padding that makes kind of this noise, you can also get like furniture foam, or you could use like a pillow, but furniture foam seems to work the best. What I have for at home actually came from a shipment that needed to stay cold, and I took the foam padding out of that packaging, and it works really well. And actually I think these want to be hollow, like sunken back a little more, because owls kind of have that sunken face look. And say I want to move them a little bit this way, you can kind of guide it over a little by just pushing it horizontally, cleaning it up as you go. So there, I kind of moved it over. You can move the eyes all over the face until you get the location you want them to be. I think that's pretty good. Now I'm going to grab some orange and roll that up. And make my beak. And that looks like it's way too much. Trying to get a triangular shape here going. And I'm still reshaping it as it's on its face. And I might shape some of the face around it. I think I like that. And some owls even have like little ears that go up. I don't think this one looks like it should have that, but I might add some of those dots to the front of it. So I just take little bits of this, just like the eyes, and making tiny felted spots. And that's actually a little too big. So I'm going to take some off. Try again. That's probably a good size. And see, it's a little softer here, so I need to actually firm up the belly so that it has something to work into. If I sunk it down too far, I can pull it back out a little. And if you've got your little needle, that might be good for this part. And of course, we have one more detail we need to add, and that is the tail as part of our Tails and Tails this summer at the library. So I'm gonna take, and I'm gonna mix some colors here because I'm running low on the color, that main color I used. Also give some nice tail feather look to it. I'm just going to start forming that into a tail. And these ones I made a little tiny tail with some bumps there, and then this one I made a pretty big tail with some like feather shapes. And it's not fully formed yet, but I'm gonna attach it on right there and continue shaping it after that. Oh, maybe it's actually bigger. It's a way bigger tail, but that's okay. This is a bigger owl. And I can continue shaping until I get the tail that I want. There, I think I like that. So, here is my finished owl. If you have any questions, you can always contact me. And just take your time, enjoy the craft, and be as creative as you want. Good luck!